I just bought a cheap Honda CR-V from British car auctions. However, I soon found out it came with some real hidden issues. So in today's video, we are going to head down to Birmingham, collect this car, get it prepped, get it repaired, and get it sold. And as always, we're going to get into all things related to the cost and the profit involved in this car. So I hope you enjoy this one, guys. Right, so let me give you a walk around of the Honda CR-V. It's actually quite a nice car. We've got a little bit of damage on there, which I was aware of when I was bidding on the car, but it's all good. I'll show you those now. So starting off on the front of the car, on the bumper, we've got a bit of damage there, and the wing is dented with a bit of rust. So going down on this side, you can see on the lower side of the door, it's only a cosmetic thing, doesn't affect the functionality of this practical car, which is kind of the point of why someone will be buying this car. It's an older car with more mileage. It's more about the functionality of this car rather than the cosmetic side of things. These are cheap cars. They're not a lot of money, so you can't expect things to be pristine, but everything's always reflected in the price when you're buying something, when you're selling something. But that is the worst of it. Now let me show you around this side. Rear is looking a lot better, not much damage there at all. Down the driver's side, we've got a little bit of a mark down here. Some of this might be able to polish up potentially, but looking at the panels on the doors, they are looking pretty nice and straight. Another good thing is 3 out of 4 tires, we've got Continental tires on there as well, so always a good thing to see branded tires on a car of this age. It just says good things about whoever owned this car before, that they like to spend good money on the car to maintain things. So a lot of positives to talk about, but we'll get into that when we go for a drive. Let me show you the interior. Now, on first impressions of the interior, what do we all think? Well, definitely needs a clean. Plastics needs a bit of plastic trim, you know, back to black on there. But condition-wise, it's pretty good. There's no major rips or tears to these seats. They are cloth, which does mean when we do get them valeted, it is going to come out very, very nice. And I think, to be honest, looking at the car, in terms of the actual wear, look at the buttons, nothing at all. The only thing I'm gonna have to be cautious of is the steering wheel, because we do have a steering wheel cover on there, so that could mean the steering wheel underneath is absolutely battered, but we'll probably get that taken off, and if it's rubbish, we'll put a new one on to make it look better. But you get an idea of the fronts. Let me show you the back. Rear seats, nothing crazy to see in here at all. Condition-wise, it's good. There are some stains to the upholstery, but the whole car's gonna get valeted, so it's all gonna be sorted. It's always gonna be nice and fresh. Carpet down here, again, looking pretty clean, nothing out of the ordinary for a car of this age. Pretty happy with how things are looking. Quick look in the engine bay, the water and oil is looking fine, so we're ready to get this car started, and fingers crossed we're gonna be okay, and it's gonna get me home because I've got about 100 miles to get back. So let's get this started. Okay, so lights have gone off, clutch down. Let's give it a go. Okay, that's good. Engine sounds healthy, started nice and easily. So far, it's looking all good for me. Always risky buying any car from auction and not hearing the engine and seeing it start up. So I'm glad to see we're okay at the moment, but let's get the camera set up. Let's take this car for a first drive and talk about why I got this car, what I need to get done to it, and how it drives on first impression. So let's get on with the video. Let's see how this clutch is on this CR-V. Okay. Biting point seems pretty good, but it's early days. We don't really know what's going on because it's 131,000 miles on this car. There could be anything wrong with this car and we don't know as of yet. So let's see how we get on. How we doing, boss? You good?
Very much. Yep.
Lovely.
Yep. Okay.
Have a nice day, mate. You gotta love the lads over on the gate. Really nice people always. But anyway, second gear, a little bit of a pull. Engine sounds good. Third gear, fourth gear. Okay, all right, we're coming up to the main road now. So let's see what we're talking about when it comes to this Honda. To be honest with you, whenever I'm buying a Honda, I am a bit more relaxed because they're known to be bulletproof cars, aren't they, Hondas? They always say German cars are designed to be serviced. They're engineered in a way that if you service them, they'll go a long way. Hondas, on the other case, are designed that even if you don't service them, they'll still carry on working. So 131,000 miles on this car, 15 years old, and first impressions are it drives very, very nice. Temperature is okay. It's sitting just below the middle where it should be at the moment, but we'll keep an eye on that. You never know when you're buying a car blind, things like the temperature, you've got to keep an eye on those to make sure you don't run into any issues, because if you do, you can cook the engine completely. So really important you keep an eye on that. But this is a 6-speed manual. I don't really know if I can get up to gear 6 just yet, but we'll give it a go. So that's a positive. The gearbox seems okay. We're getting into all gears. Clutch seems fine, and the drivability of this car seems nice. So I think we're on to a good start with this car. So why did I buy this car, and what are the plans to get this car ready for sale? What do I need to do? So I bought this car because I just bought a Honda CR-V recently. Same car, I think it was a year newer, EX model, so it's got leathers, pan roof, heated seats, sat nav, so it's a better spec car. And that was similar mileage, and it drove so nice. So it gave me confidence in buying these types of cars because they represent a lot of good value. There's actually quite a lot of these cars on the road as well when you start to look around. So I thought it'd be a good buy to see how these Hondas are on the market. But why this specific car? So it came through the auction as a 2-owner. It's got pretty much full service history on the car. I think it was last serviced about 5,000 miles ago, but it's got well over 10, 15 services or something like that in the book. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's got a full service history. It's got 2 keys, and it comes out of long-term ownership. So the person who had this car last owned it since 2014, I believe. May have actually been longer, but I think it was around 10 years of ownership, which is a long time for someone to have a car. Tell a lie, what am I talking about? I just remembered the car was actually just serviced last month. So that was another reason why I bought this car. It was just serviced, and at the same time it was MOT'd as well. Now, a little bit of a backstory. The car had a BCA essential check, so just gives you a bit of a background into the car. It's not always necessarily perfectly honest. There are people make mistakes, but you know, there's times I've gone to buy a car and everything's green, meaning it's okay, and there's problems. So it does happen. But in this case, for the engine smoking, there was a amber light, meaning potentially this car might be smoking or something along those lines. So that's a bit of a, you know, something you've got to be cautious of. But because the car was literally serviced and MOT'd just a matter of a few weeks ago, plus it came out of long-term ownership, I thought I'm going to take the chance on this car because it could just be a mistake, or they've just noted it as a bit of caution. Either way, I made my judgment to think if it's been serviced, it's been MOT'd and come out of long-term ownership, it's probably a pretty good car. And if it has got an issue, we'll deal with it. It comes down to the price I pay for the car, right? So that's a bit of a backstory on why I got this car. Even though it had a bit of damage and stuff, it just looked like a nice car. The interior looks pretty clean, well kept over the years. So that is why I wanted to buy this specific car. Now, in terms of getting this car ready for sale, the good thing is I don't need to do a crazy amount to it necessarily, because things like the MOT and servicing have already been done. So that's straight away a cost taken off my shoulders. In terms of the bodywork, there's 2 ways of doing it. I can obviously look at just getting the bodywork fixed and then putting that price onto when I sell the car. Or I could price this car more competitively and leave those, you know, scrapes and stuff on the car, because it doesn't necessarily affect the functionality of this car. It's just cosmetic. So that's something I'm going to have a think about. And of course, I'm going to let you know what I do and how much things cost if I go down that route. So bodywork wise, we're not sure yet. Getting it cleaned inside, even though the car is pretty clean, because it's cloth interior, it makes a big difference when you get it done. And especially because of the price point, I want this car to look nice, especially on the inside where people are going to spend their time driving. And first impressions, when you do sit in the car, if it smells nice and it feels nice, it gives a better impression. So definitely going to get that done to the car. So prep wise, we're not really looking to do anything crazy on this car. Of course, I've still got a 100-mile drive back, so I need to make sure this car is, you know, in roadworthy condition, get it taken to the garage for them to inspect it and just make sure things are okay with this car. But we are going to get into all of those, the figures of how much it's going to cost to get this car ready for sale, and just look at the potential profit margins in this car and what I can sell this for. Now, in terms of the spec of this car, it's a bit different to obviously the EX model, which I mentioned. So that car, like I said, was fully spec'd out. This car is an SE model, so we haven't got the full spec. It's cloth interior. We don't have heated seats, we don't have sat nav. However, it's 2 different price points. If someone wants a car with a high spec, they're going to go for the EX model. If someone's just looking for the functionality and a cheaper entry point to a CR-V, you're going to go for something like this. Some people prefer the leather, some people don't. Things like a sat nav on an old car anyway, you're probably not going to use it because it's not that great. But spec wise, heated seats, things like that, they are nice to have. Panoramic roof as well on the other model. It does make a big difference, but it's preference. So even though I've got 2 CR-Vs, they are completely different cars and are going to appeal to different people. So spec wise, it doesn't matter that this is a lower spec car, it's still going to appeal to a specific type of customer. But other than that, guys, hopefully that gives you a bit of a background into why I bought this car, a bit about it, bit about the spec, a bit about the history, etc., and what the plans are to get this car ready for sale, addressing a few of those things, seeing how the car drives over that journey home, and get it inspected, because we might need to spend some money on this car. We don't know yet fully. So
now, this is the part where things change. So on my 100-mile drive back, I discovered a major issue with this Honda. So let's fast forward a few days after getting this rectified, but I'll explain exactly what happened and get into all the costs involved.
Right, it is so hot. Honestly, the sun is not out, but it is baking today. I've been back to back filming cars today. You probably can tell maybe from my attire that I've just come out of filming the other Honda CR-V video, which you've probably already seen now. So busy day today filming. I thought I'll use this opportunity now as I'm going to the car wash to tell you what on earth happened with this Honda CR-V, because we did run into some good things, but equally we ran into some bad things as well. So let's start with the bad things which we ran into with this car. There's no point beating around the bush. The clutch was gone. Now, I don't know how I didn't pick up on this. The car drove pretty good initially when we were making the video, but I didn't really give it a kick down. And what I found was, as the car warmed up, more so like in third gear, fourth gear, especially on the motorway, the clutch was slipping. So it wasn't an ideal situation. However, it is what it is. The car has done 131,000 miles, even though surprisingly the clutch felt very, very light, and the biting point surprisingly was what I thought was okay. Once the car warmed up a bit and we got it on the motorway and gave it a bit of a proper pull, the clutch did start to slip. And that does happen sometimes. You don't always pick up on something straight away. You'll get in the car, think the clutch is okay, it will seem like it's acting normal, but once the car's a bit warmer and you're able to put it through its paces, it just generally, the car's up to temperature, you'll find other little faults on the car. So unfortunately, now the biting point on this car is very, very low, because I'm obviously not used to it from what it was before. Ultimately, it's something which needed to get done, and it kind of does add value to this car as well, especially when it comes to this mileage. Having something like the clutch just replaced is only going to make this car more attractive for someone who wants to buy it. So it's not all end of the world. And now I did also say I've got some good news on this car. This isn't something which happens very often. So BCA made a bit of a mistake when they listed this car for sale. It was advertised as a 2-owner car, but I've got the logbook, and the logbook states that this is a 1-owner car from new. There is no previous registered keepers. So not too sure exactly how that mistake has happened, but end of the day, the logbook is the logbook, and it says there is 1 owner. So that is a good thing, because I've got a pretty roadworthy, good service history, new clutch, 1-owner Honda CR-V, which is going to be priced competitively because it's not top spec model. So as an entry point for a reliable, family, economical car, this will be a very attractive proposition for someone looking to buy. But it was a bit of a shame with the clutch, because this car was just serviced and just MOT'd literally like a week or two before it came into the auction. So naturally you would have thought there wouldn't be an issue with the clutch, but to be fair, the car was completely drivable. If you don't do kickdowns or you drive this car very gently, you probably wouldn't even have picked up on that the clutch was slipping, because there was no juddering or anything like that going on with the clutch. So I can understand why it wasn't replaced, because maybe the owner who drove this car, I think it was a lady owner, maybe she just didn't realize the clutch was slipping. So it's not end of the world. These things happen. At least the positives are the car was already serviced, the car was already MOT'd, and it's now turned out to be a 1-owner car. So on that front, things are looking okay still. But what we're going to do now is get the car taken to the car wash, get it cleaned. We're not getting it valeted because it isn't actually too bad. I decided we'll just get a basic in and out job done. So we've just pulled in now. I'm going to wait for them to give the car a clean. Then we're going to pick up this video and I'll give you a walk around to show you where we stand at the moment. And we'll talk about some of those costs involved in getting things like the clutch, etc. replaced. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, so we're back from the car wash now, and I'm going to give you a quick walk around just to show you how the car is looking in its current state. Yes, it's not quite ready for sale because I still need to do a couple of touch-ups on the car, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, but you'll still get an idea of how this paintwork is looking after the car has been cleaned. Obviously, we've still got that dent and scratch over here, which I've decided I'm not really going to do anything about because I got this car very cheap, which means I'm going to price it cheap. So things like that are only cosmetic, don't affect the actual roadworthiness of this car. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Things like that can touch in little parts where it's starting to rust over there, but you get an idea of how the car is looking after getting a basic in and out job done. 20 quid to get this done. Let me show you the interior as well. Nothing too drastic has changed, but you'll get an idea. So moving into the interior, this is obviously just a basic in and out. So little things like the carpet on the floor, that would be included in getting the car valeted, but I'll be able to do all this myself. Just a quick spray of back to black and just give that a wipe. It's not a problem. I've taken the hideous steering wheel cover off because it's not something which looks very nice at all. So wanted to get rid of that, but you get an idea. The interior was already in a good place to start with. There's nothing really too different to see. Like I say, just been hoovered, in and out, basic wipe down the dashes and things like that over there. I will back to black very, very shortly. The rears as well, to begin with, weren't necessarily too bad. We did have a little bit of a stain over there, but as you can see, it's not too noticeable. Just getting the car hoovered and wiped down has done enough because, like I say, this is going to be a cheap Honda CR-V. So how much did this car cost me from the auction? Well, the hammer price of this car was only £800. Now, there were fees involved, so what I'll do is I'll pop it on the screen now so you got an idea of the total cost of this car driving out of the auction. Still, it was super cheap in comparison to the CR-V, which I bought the other day. That was also quite a cheap car because the cap clean for that was about £2 grand and I got that for 1300, but still £500 less for a car off basically the same year. It's a year older, mileage is 6,000 more miles, but the spec of this car is lower. So 800 quid is a very, very good price for this car. Now, obviously, as I mentioned, we ran into some problems with the clutch. That was the only major expense I had to spend on this car. So that cost me £250. It should have actually cost more than that, but my local garage, which I give all my work to, they looked after me on this one. So it probably should have been nearer the 400 mark because the clutch itself isn't exactly cheap. Plus, it's very labor intensive doing this job. So that was how much it cost me on this car. Now, getting the car clean, like I said, it's only £20. I didn't want to spend the full 50 because little things, like I said, on the floor where there's just a bit of rubber, I can back to black and just quick detail all these little things myself just to save on those costs. So £20 getting this car cleaned. The steering wheel cover, I just threw it off myself. The only thing left for me to do is buy some touch-up paint and just touch some of those parts in. So that's only going to cost me about a tenner. So what I'll do now is I'll pop on the screen to give you a grand total of how much this car has cost me to get it ready for sale. And I'll also put up there what I'm potentially looking to sell this car for, or what I'm going to advertise it for, because it is a lower spec car. There are some marks on the bodywork as well, so I can't price it super high, but equally it is a one owner, which is a massive thing. It has had a clutch replacement done now, so it's got a lot of good things going for it at the same time. So price wise, I'm probably looking around 2.5-ish, around that sort of figure, but I'm going to see exactly where I think this car will fit on the market based on the whole thing with the condition, the ownership, etc. I need to have a good look at the market because selling these CR-Vs is something more new to me at the moment as well. So that's the ballpark where I'm going to be, but you've got an idea of how much I paid for this car, so that gives you an idea of the margin involved. Again, I will pop everything on the screen just so you've got a quick breakdown of that, but hopefully that's giving you an idea on this specific car. Like I said, I didn't have to do a great deal to this car. Some cars I do prep them more in terms of the bodywork, but the price point we're at, the current climate we're in as well at the moment, you know, people just want a car that works, especially at this price point. If you want a car in mint condition, you're going to have to pay much more money for it, and things are tough for a lot of people. So it's all about having a car which is roadworthy, not going to give someone problems, and just overall reliable, practical and cheap to run. And hopefully this car fits that. So I hope this video has given you a good insight into buying these cars from the auction. If you have enjoyed this one, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Follow me on all my socials. I'll pop them on the screen now, which is at Buysellcars TV. But other than that, thank you so much again for watching, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Take care, guys.